Good morning, friends. I have here in Vancouver, I have Muhammed Basheer, and I call him Basheer. And in Malayalam, I call him Mashe, true Calicut style. And we would have made this discussion in Malayalam, but many of our friends, we switched to English. And I know when we speak in Malayalam, we have much more fluency because we'll go a long way back, and our cultural background and our interests, they are all connected to Malayalam. So because of that, reluctantly we are switching to English. So first of all, congratulations for your CBE nomination, and also I'm sure it's going to come in this December, I believe, right? You're going to receive this from Prince Charles.
Hopefully, we'll
December.
see. We'll see. I haven't got notification yet,
Okay.
but it's a long journey. We started together, and we are still traveling together, which
Yeah.
is
Actually, it's very interesting. This is probably your fourth or fifth trip to Canada, or maybe more.
yeah.
At least, when I was doing my PhD in Halifax
They
in
came to see you
87,
there.
88 or 89,
No,
you came there.
1990,
Beginning
Yeah,
of 1990, you came there for a
yeah,
conference. And then now,
yeah,
2023, you are in here for a Relum conference,
yeah,
and you chair a couple of sessions, and also you have a
yeah.
paper to present. And it is a specialty conference on artificial intelligence for innovative structures, right?
There are three topics. One of them is actually the use of
Artificial intelligence.
artificial
Okay,
intelligence.
yeah. So what are your current interests that are happening in
On,
civil
on
engineering?
the research side, it is very simple.
Yeah.
I can say the structures we construct should last for the intended service life.
Mhm.
And that, in essence, is what I have been doing, and I'm going to continue to do until I finish my research career. And
You are a non-expert on durability of concrete, right? And you have so many innovative methods by which the durability of concrete can be assessed,
yeah,
and also based on which you can predict the
service
longevity,
life, yeah,
service life of structures,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So
It is a blessing, actually. We both applied for PhD, and you let me go to Belfast.
no.
And,
We took two paths. You went to Belfast, and I came to Halifax.
And my PhD was related to durability of bridges in Northern Ireland.
Okay.
And during that time, when I was the instruction given to me was something different from what I did. The project was something to do with the coating of concrete for increasing the durability. And when I started reading, I realized that there is a huge gap in the understanding of durability, and in particular methods to assess durability. So, and when I looked at it, I realized that there is a need to measure one of the fundamental properties, which is called the permeation characteristics of concrete. And then I started developing an instrument for measuring it, and that became my PhD topic. And I got an ACA award for that.
And you got that instrument patented also,
but
right? Is the patent in your name or the university's?
It is a university, of course, and I will be the author. That's the way it is. Yeah. And so what happened is we commercialized it through Amphora NDT Limited, and it is becoming a Chinese standard. It has gone through the review, and it's becoming a Chinese standard.
Has ACI picked up that?
It's in the ACI document 228.
Okay.
Yeah. ACI only recommends, and they don't standardize. So unlike ACI 318 is standard, but all other committees only just do the guidance document. So it is there in 228 2R document. Okay. Yeah. And so that is where I started. And then when I was continuing the work, I realized it's the permeation characteristics. You have 4 different ways by which matter can transport through the concrete, and each one needs a different test technique.
Oh, now you're becoming a real professor even in front of me, because the way you explain things with such an interest, and that gives a real indication that how much you you are involved in the topic, and also how much you are invested in the topic as well. And maybe that is the reason why, um, you know, even your recognition as a commander of British Empire, recognition that is actually one step short of calling you sir, right? The next time, probably, if you get a knighthood, I'll have to call you sir.
God willing.
No. But then what I'm saying is, when you have invested so much in any topic, and also any subject, and for the benefit of the technical or the scientific community, and also community at large, the recognitions are bound to happen. And as a PhD supervisor, how many PhDs have you produced?
Just the 36th one finished last week, so 36.
And the 37th one is doing the AI based right?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, it's interesting, in my career, although I started in academic area, and as we know, we both taught in Calicut RSC for more than 5 years, and then we moved our ways. And in Canada also, I had the opportunity to teach individually, independent, responsibility for teaching courses because of that background in Calicut RSC. My professor used to say, this guy can teach, so I'm going to be in the office and you take the lessons from him. That's what he used to say.
I think we can't ignore the fact that we learned a lot from both the place where we studied and the place where we taught. In my case, TKM College of Engineering was the foundation for me, and then REC was actually the further development. Both of them gave me the ability to go deep into the subject and make sure that actually you understand the basics very well before you start doing the research. And that was tremendous. I mean, I would say, yes, opportunities were more here, but the fundamental concept came from our education in India.
Actually, when you think about it, both our backgrounds in the lower middle class family in Kerala, two parts of Kerala basically. But then, I would not have gone to engineering if the Mar Athanasius College of Engineering, Kodamangalam, was not there. And that was a blessing because, I could go. I was a day scholar, right? So that was a positive thing. And in your case, TKM was there. And that is probably the reason why you are an engineer,
I mean,
right?
That's an interesting thing. I did say this recently. I had actually offer of admission from Regional Engineering College, Calicut.
Oh, at that time.
At that time. But my parents said, or my dad said, no, I don't have money to send you there. So look for a college nearby. And that's why I ended up in TKM, which was a blessing. TKM, I would say the total personality development in TKM was one of the reasons why I was able to develop my career without compromising my societal commitment. And that actually is a unique thing in our life, And even now, when you think about, you write so much about the spirituality, okay? In a way, I apply that spirituality in the professional life.
So we were talking about the middle class background, and then two middle class engineers now in their 60s talking about how the engineering career carried us through the thick and thin of the of life basically, right? And you being a very well-known academician and a very accomplished person in the research area, and you had a lot of contribution. I had my share in the professional field.
The fact which you should actually be proud of is how good a professional engineer you are. At the same time, you kept your spiritual exploration going. See, in my case, even though I'm fascinated with what you write, I don't get time to actually spend enough time in learning that side. And that's the limitation in my case,
No,
I mean, and I really appreciate
your
that.
focus. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. That's what I consider myself. I get by in terms of writing, and also in professional life. Of course, I have been in profession for the last 40 years. And as you know, I'm a registered
Yeah,
engineer
yeah,
in Canada in many provinces, and also a specialty engineer in the
yeah,
US. And so the when I look back, engineering as a profession has given us a lot,
yeah.
is it not?
So, Sumar, there is actually one thing which possibly people need to hear, and that is the holistic way you deal with engineering profession.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that is missing in many cases of professional engineers.
yeah,
They are all qualified engineers,
yeah,
but that holistic concept is actually missing. And that is what you bring in.
yeah.
You know,
Actually, in that IIT conference we attended
yeah,
earlier this year, I was mentioning that as engineers we are very good in solving problems,
yeah,
and only problem is, are we solving the right problems?
yeah,
We don't look at from a distance. We always focus on certain things, and then we are ready to solve it, finite element analysis and all kinds of
yeah,
circus you can do, and then you can finish it. But is that something
yeah,
that is required for the community or the agency you are working for? Is that the best you can
yeah,
do? It is that business sense. If there is, if we can't do a business sense out of an engineering issue, there is no value to it.
yeah,
I'm not talking about the research.
yeah,
Research is always required. It's a pure
yeah.
thing and it is required. But when it comes to an applied engineering situation, you're looking at actually, are we doing the right
Yeah.
thing?
Do you remember the talk you gave after you went to a conference in Delhi?
Yeah.
In REC Calicut, you gave a talk on value engineering. You remember
Yeah,
that?
that was
That
actually
was in
84,
1984 or
84,
something.
85.
Yeah. I have to say that concept of value engineering needs to be taught to professional engineers.
That's true. Yeah.
Even in research, that's important because
Yeah.
people can actually be just simply focusing on a minute problem,
Yeah.
and then they think that actually that is the whole thing in dealing with that topic.
Yeah.
And there is a need to put this into perspective.
Actually, that brings me the wonderful memory of Subramania Iyer sir, our HOD
Oh, yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
Calicut, and also Unnikrishna sir,
Yeah.
our mentor, Unnikrishna sir. And it's because of those two, I went to Delhi IIT for that short course.
Yeah.
And that was conducted by Dr. Venkataraman. And interestingly enough, in Detroit,
Yeah.
few years back, I had the opportunity to meet with him.
Oh,
I
right.
was in Detroit where I was getting an outstanding achievement award
Oh,
in
fantastic.
value engineering.
Yeah.
And I went and actually I touched his feet and then said, "Sir, you have introduced this concept of value engineering to me. First time in my life. I was 23, 24 at that time. And fast forward, when I was 53 or something, I got this recognition for, applying the value
Yeah.
engineering principles for a major projects and saving a lot of money and making the project sustainable, environmental, social, and financial things. So, that was a very, and
Yeah.
I'm surprised that you remember that.
No,
that
Sukumar, the
I gave
thing
that
is,
talk. Yeah.
all these small things remain in our mind. Okay, so think for tomorrow, do it for do things today for tomorrow. That
Yeah,
concept, so that kind of thing, the value engineering brings a lot of good lessons.
Yeah.
And in engineering, so engineering education, this kind of concept is absolutely essential. And in my supervision, I believe all of the lessons I learned in my career, I pass it on to the next generation of students.
Yeah.
And I believe actually that is the way the supervision should be.
Yeah.
It's
Actually,
not just the project.
No, that's right. And also, we have been so lucky. Actually, when 22, 23, we joined Calicut REC
Yeah.
as junior lecturers, and the Calicut REC gave us to an opportunity to do our master's degree while
Doing the
and
lecturing.
I used to call it this is Vidya and Abhyasam. We used to have the class from 8 to 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
You sit in the mathematics class, and then 9 to 10 you teach a class, right? So it was fantastic. And
Yeah.
the opportunities we got there, exposure we got, that was actually, you cannot put a value to
Yeah.
it. And also, of course, we got the scholarship to do this, PhD outside. And what do you think? What did we do anything wrong by, just moving away from India and then establishing our shop outside India?
I'll quote a story, okay? Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Sahib came to.
Oh, you
I met him. He was honored by an honorary DSc by Queen's University, where I used to work. And there was a dinner. Before the dinner, there was the drink reception, and I met him. So I said to him, "Sir, I have a question. This is really, really bothering me, and I thought you can help me." I left India to do PhD, and now I'm employed here. I was a professor at that time when he came. And I said I was very active in National Service Scheme, and I was a dedicated, program officer. And
even in Calicut RC, we had a few things.
You were my right hand man for doing all these things. So I said, did I, betray my country? This word I used, leaving India. So he looked at me and said, "You said your name is Basheer, isn't it?" I said, "Yes, sir." "Okay, Basheer, the very fact that you're thinking is telling me in your mind, India is there."
Yeah. Actually, you can come out of India, but then India will not be away from us anytime. Right?
And then he said, the Basheer in India may not be as good as the Basheer abroad. And I believe you will do tremendously for India by being in the UK.
Yeah.
This is words of the great man,
Abdul
Kalamji.
Yeah.
And I believe I live to that.
Yeah. That is for sure. Because, that the way I see is India has a lot of intellectual capacity, a lot of engineers, and also the perennial source of the youngsters is there. And there is no point in, keeping all the youngsters in India itself. At the same time, now I am alarmed because at the rate of the youngsters, especially after grade 12, leaving India to take to do education outside India, and especially in UK, Canada, and not so much in USA, because I don't think they are giving the visas. But then in UK and Canada, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, Australia and New Zealand.
Australia and New Zealand also. And, they come in the thousands.
Yeah.
Recently in Cochin, they had a big celebration, and I don't know why they call it celebration, of 7,500 students coming to Canada. And we know that in Canada, the situation is dismal for these kids, because when they come here, they get into some colleges, and those colleges are not to the standard you think of. It's not. They are not universities. So what happens is they come here and they struggle, and then overcrowded classrooms, and they don't have a place to stay. And I even heard that in Ontario nowadays they rent rooms by the hours. That means the kids can come and sleep for 8 hours, and then the next kid will come and then sleep for 8 hours. And that is the situation. And somehow I don't know what's happening. When we came abroad, we had a purpose, and also it was for university education. And I had $100 when I came from India, and all the rest were scholarships or research assistantship, teaching assistantship. And also I worked in the library, and then I taught a few courses, and I was one of the richest graduate students when I was doing my PhD.
The difference between then and now, or the two paths, I should say, because the old path is still there. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's true. And you take a lot of students.
I mean, one of my PhD students is from Uttar Pradesh. And she's a fantastic student. And I think that path is still there. But the other path is something that is a concern for me. I believe this is likely to boomerang, and these guys are actually likely to struggle
And get some backlash from the local population. We don't
population.
want to alarm kids, but then
Yeah,
that's what happened in
all of these
Australia a
are
few
actually,
years back.
going back to what Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam said, you and I are representatives of India working abroad, flying the Indian flag abroad.
That's
Okay,
true. That's true. And also, yeah, we never denigrate
no,
the
the local
India
system.
India in us, and
Yes.
also India as an emotion for us, right?
Yeah,
And the pride of India, and that we have been able to keep
yeah,
all throughout.
yeah, and at the same time, we have never been compromising our professional commitment and social commitment to the country where we migrated to.
No, no.
And that is the beauty.
When I think about it, I consider myself very lucky that
Yeah.
I took the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
You know what India had to offer: the basic fundamental education, the cultural upbringing, the appreciation for diversity,
Yeah.
and also to see people as they are.
Yeah.
And when I came to Canada, what I found was the professionalism,
Yeah.
and also the meticulous way of planning,
Yeah.
and also make the commitment, social commitment.
Yeah.
And interestingly, if you remember, uh, some of the professionals from India and also from
Yeah.
Calicut, PWD, and all, they came and visited some of my project sites, and the way they were looking at those projects, that was interesting, because I was showing how we were able to invite the public into the project scenario, and also tell them what we are doing for the public, and also how their life is going to be affected during construction and after construction. And we were explaining all these things. And then this PWD engineer, very bright engineers, I don't want to name because because of various reasons, but then they told me, actually, in Kerala also we could do that. In India also we could do that. Then I said, are you able to do it? And he said, unfortunately, no.
Yeah, the political system in India is not,
I don't know whether throughout India, but in Kerala for sure, it's very difficult.
I think in many projects this is exactly happening. Throughout India, I would say, and in some cases there is people participation. In some most cases, people participation is limited.
Yeah.
And a project, a civil engineering project, has to have social interaction. Simply, if you remember one of the famous statements, 75% of any infrastructure in any society is supported by civil engineers.
That's true.
And therefore, if we civil engineers don't work with society and the people in the society, we are actually doing no justice to the society.
Yeah. Actually, very, very interesting. In one of my projects, which you know about, it's a large reservoir project.
Oh, yeah. You gave a keynote talk in a
Belfast,
long Bungay conference.
Yeah, actually, we both were the keynote at and you.
You organized it. You organized it. Yeah.
And in that project, I had this open house, and the huge open house where I put up a big tent, and then I presented all my project plans and everything, and 550 people showed up, and they were all interested in seeing what is happening and all those things. And suddenly, an elderly Indian gentleman from India, he came and said, he used to be a chief engineer in Central PWD or somewhere.
Yeah.
And then he came because his daughter was in Vancouver. So he came and said, "Oh, Dr. Sukumar, why are you doing this and then spending public money? You know earthquake engineering. You are the expert in earthquake engineering. Why are you consulting with this public? That's such a waste of time and money. We never do that." And I said, "No, sir, this is, we are doing this for the public, and public has a right to know
what we are
doing, how we are spending the money. And we want to show that at the end of the day, you're going to be benefited. And also we are going to take the environment seriously. We are going to give local people some work. and that is the only way to sustain the project. And that attitude was not there in the people of earlier generation.
Can I just bring actually you, because you said this, one of the fundamental principles of systems approach in engineering is this particular user engagement. Without user engagement, your project is actually going to fail.
That's true.
And this is important.
And there is no point in going into a public area and then start digging there, thinking that people will. No, you have to tell them exactly what is happening in their neighborhood.
And then the project becomes. Of course, you do a project evaluation and feasibility study, everything. But the way you can implement the project becomes easier. And people participation becomes actually one of the strengths in such projects.
Actually, in that particular project, I said 550 people showed up, and that was the first open house. And towards the end of that, like last open house was 5th or 6th, and I had actually 3 or 4 people. Because by then we had addressed all the problems, transportation, the water quality, everything was addressed. And then that's why, and I have several papers out of that project.
You got few prizes for the workers. I remember actually that as well.
Professional awards were there. So I mean, such opportunities. And those are the particular benefits when I think about after moving to Canada. Those are the benefits I would say professionally. And also, no politicians have ever interfered with my work. Although I had to report to the politicians, the committees, and also report to them what I'm doing, and then I have to show that I have been accountable for what I was doing. But they never hindered my work. They actually, in one case, they asked me to go back to the drawing board and come back with a better report. That is I respect that politician, because what he did was he put me on spot and then said, okay, you're responsible for this. Come back in the next meeting, and then we will approve your funding.
It's the accountability part.
And I respect that politician for it, because he wasn't hindering my progress. Actually, he was supporting that. And it is that kind of public involvement, even by politicians. A decent professional will appreciate that.
I'm not going to be political in what I'm going to say. I just want to say that. Think about the waste related issue in Cochin.
Oh, the apartment, they demolished the whole apartment building?
The recent one. The recent, dumping waste. And, these are things where the society, the politicians should only just simply say, this is actually a societal problem. Engineers should find a solution. And let the engineers find the solution and come with a proposal. The government should implement them. Rather than interfering.
That's
that political indifference is actually one of the major drawbacks that I see in the Indian system. Whereas in the Western system, definitely political interference is there. But that is for making sure that you as the professional engineer is accountable for what you do, not to interfere in the project you do.
Actually,
that's the difference.
I don't know whether you know about it. In Canada, the professional engineering or engineering profession is a regulated profession. Right?
Like UK as well.
That means when I sign on the dotted line, I am fully responsible for the work I do. And even after I die, my estate can be responsible for any mistakes I make as an engineer. Just think about a similar situation in India. Because there is that kind of level of accountability is very important for a profession. And the professionals must be compensated also for taking on that kind of a risk and responsibility.
I mean, the difference is you make a claim, not a judgmental mistake, a professional mistake. Your professional qualification is compromised. So you can lose your professional engineer status. Whereas in India, where is actually this regulation?
No, that's actually, interestingly, from IIT Kanpur,
Yep.
Some people came here for the 2008 or so World Earthquake Engineering Conference. At that time, I was in a committee, and also I was mentioning about the professional registration situation. So I have actually, as I told you, I'm registered in various provinces in Canada and also in US. This registration actually gives you, of course, a status plus an added responsibility, accountability. And in that conference, I was actually telling the professor at IIT Kanpur, and you know him, Professor. I forgot his name. Anyway,
Sarsai, no,
not Sarsai. Anyway, he was telling in India also they were planning to develop such a regulatory system. And one problem was how long does it take to do this? And also, in my opinion, it should not be taking that much.
Sukumar, there is actually what is called the Washington Accord and Sydney Accord for mutual recognition of professional qualification. Neither the technician qualification system exists in India, nor it is recognized internationally. The same goes with the engineering qualification. IEI, you get a chartered engineer status, okay? I think in 97 or 98, I got that from institution.
They haven't even checked anything.
No, all what was needed was, I said, actually, I've been a member. This is actually what I have done since then. And I got actually recognized as a chartered engineer, okay? So, but this chartered engineer status I have since 1997, I think, is not recognized anywhere else in the world.
That's right, okay, because any recognition or any degree or academic qualifications or professional qualification, that must have a grip, and that grip must be properly considered. Otherwise, there is no value to it. And that is, you probably remember I wrote the Institution of Engineers Architectural Engineering.
I remember that.
I'm the first one to qualify in that. And that is the basis by which I developed the architectural engineering syllabus for
REC
under the guidance of Dr. Balagowal sir. So even then, that didn't stay long. Actually, after a few years, even in Calicut REC, now it is architecture, not architectural engineering anymore.
In my personal view, that is actually a step in the wrong direction. I'll tell you why. In UK, where I am currently in Leeds University, so 35 years we have been running architecture engineering program.
In built environment, right?
In civil engineering school. In civil engineering school. Recently, we developed the architecture program in addition. But this architecture program, we made it a 4-year architecture program rather than a 3-year. And we got accreditation by both the Joint Board of Moderators for Engineering and the Architecture Registration Board and RIBA, the Royal Institute of British Architects. The reason why the interaction between architecture and engineering is fundamental for building quality infrastructure.
That's true.
And this is now recognized. Okay, architects used to consider that they are actually superior beings. Okay, but now they realize that there is a need to work with engineers.
That's, I mean, who said that? It was Almasar or somebody, from Calicut REC. He used to say architects can do any circus on the building, and poor structural engineers have to build it. But then if there is a combination of these, that was the idea of architectural engineering at that time. Anyway, but then I think now the Calicut REC architecture department is second or so.
They're doing very well. They're doing very well. I mean, what I'm saying is actually, I'm not saying architecture should not be there. Architecture should be there.
It should have been an added.
So in the UK system, I think only 2 or 3 universities have technical based architecture program. Leeds is one, Sheffield is another one, like that a few. But most others are actually arts based architecture. It's arts and design instead of design and
The School of Design, Environment. That
yeah.
kind of,
So there is actually that school of thought, and I appreciate that the creativity comes from arts,
Yeah.
and that will be essential for creation of
Yeah.
fascinating looking
That's right, yeah.
structures. So that side is needed,
Yeah.
but equally you need to work with
That's right,
engineers.
yeah.
That side has to come in as
left
well.
and right brain both must work together,
Exactly.
right?
So
Yeah.
my preference in Regional Engineering College Calicut would have been to retain that architecture engineering
Yeah.
and bring architecture, so that civil engineering, architecture, and architecture engineering can be the three legs of the same.
Yeah, that would have been a sustainable built environment school.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
actually, yeah.
They missed that opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really appreciating the architecture what they have
that's
done,
true.
but
Yeah.
they missed an opportunity.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And you thinking about it some 35 years, 37 years back is the quality of your thinking.
And also now I should tell you, something I should confess. One reason I didn't go back to Calicut REC at that time after the PhD was, there was an opportunity. Actually, they had actually a position in architectural engineering advertised, and I applied for it at that time. Calicut, but
I didn't know.
They didn't call me for interview. Maybe it was for the, my lifetime to be time to be better or different because of that. But I probably would have joined back, because I had this idea that architectural engineering could be developed into something much more than architecture or civil engineering. So it is a combination of those two. That would have been, that would have made my life in a different path. But then would have, could have, should have, that kind of thing.
The creativity comes from thinking laterally.
Yeah.
And if you look at our time in REC, you had actually some exposure to that value engineering, the architecture engineering. Those are actually thinking differently from the norm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
And that thinking is actually essential in developing a profession.
Yeah.
And you talked about the research which I do, and I believe the reason why I've been able to be successful in research is simply because I think differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't just simply follow, okay, I have to do this material research, this particular research. I don't think that way.
No.
And at the moment, I'm not an expert in AI. I work with colleagues in computer science.
Yeah.
But artificial intelligence has to have a role in my research. So I said, okay, bring in the AI side from computer science, apply it, jointly supervise projects.
Yeah. Actually, in practical engineering also, the actual nitty-gritty engineering, the calculations and the spreadsheets and the computer work and the modeling and everything is only hardly 1/3 of it.
Yeah.
And only 1/3 of that is that's like that.
Yeah.
And the rest are actually basically coordinating with people, communicating with others,
project management,
money management.
Yes.
So it is not just that. And actually, you may know that I have an MBA also.
Yeah.
So people ask me, with MBA, what is the difference? You have a PhD in civil engineering, structural engineering, and MBA. What is the use of having an MBA and you're still working in engineering? I say I'm a better engineer because of that.
Yeah.
And the only reason is, MBA type of education, it gives you an overall picture of the business field, and also every decision in engineering what we make is for a business solution.
Sumar, even though I haven't taken an MBA, I have attended management programs, management courses while I was a lecturer and a senior lecturer. And
that makes the whole difference, right?
Absolutely. And the reason why I'm actually appreciating the management is simply because of my exposure to that management lessons.
Actually, that's what, as a, for the engineering education suggestion, I would say there should be a very good emphasis on that management aspect of it. Construction management course, when we were undergraduate students,
one module is there.
One module, and also we never took much
seriousness,
seriousness on it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, but then in the practical sense, you have to have a very good exposure to that,
Yeah.
including accounting, communication. That is actually, interestingly, this is an English speaking country, but the way the youngsters and engineers and they write, some of their writing is unbelievable. I'm glad that chat gpt is there, so that they can put their memos or emails in the
Yeah.
chat gpt and then say, clean it and give it back to me, right? That, that's a
Yeah,
very good
yeah.
application of chat gpt, because some of their writing is horrible. We didn't come from an English
No.
speaking. We have exposure, but at the same time, our writing is much better than some of
Yeah.
the native English speaking people,
See,
which whom I hired recently.
Yeah, I consider the term communication rather than writing.
Yeah.
The concept needs to be put in the right context, using the right language,
Yeah.
so that the effectiveness is there.
Yeah,
So that
even,
actually is.
even communicating verbal and also written, both must be there.
Yeah.
And that emphasis must be there in the
Yeah.
in the engineering education also. And it's I'm not sure whether we are there yet.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing I wanted to mention is, when I took the structural engineering specialty exam in the US,
Yeah.
and the exams are actually 3 levels: SC1, SC2, SC3. Each one of them are 6-8 hour exams. You have to pass the first one before you get the next, and the pass rate is very small. And when I finished it, it was 7 or 8% people pass. After doing all these things, when I applied for the license itself, they came back with a letter saying that your undergraduate degree has certain number of credits. And whereas the undergraduate degree needs, according to the US thing, around 96 credit or something, we have around, for Kerala University and Calicut University, more than 130 or something. Almost 50% more credit in engineering. But you lack enough credit in
structural engineering.
No. Communication.
Oh, yeah.
Communication and general social sciences.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. And then they gave me an exemption because I have an MBA. They said, we are not keeping that against you because you have an MBA. And I was surprised. We have almost 50% more courses in engineering, but not enough for social science and communication.
So, Sumar, in 85, the Institution of Civil Engineers did a review of the curriculum and found that engineers lack communication skills. Therefore, all of the civil engineering programs should have actually communication as an emphasis. They introduced in all British universities in civil engineering. And this communication became an essential part of the program. Right from stage one, that's year one. It actually was included, going all the way up to 4th year.
Oh, okay.
And the reason they said this is important is because engineers are meant to be better communicators when they are civil engineers. Are meant to be really good communicators. And if that is missing, how can you have a civil engineering project work, implemented in
properly
society?
done? That's true.
And this is important.
I hear that now you are a Carnatic musician.
Not a musician. I'm a student.
Student.
I'm a Muslim. You know that I'm a Muslim. And in Hinduism, there is actually a statement that if you have a wish which you haven't fulfilled, you have to come back to this earth.
Oh, okay. So you want to finish your business in this life.
I want to actually so this was my childhood dream. I want to learn music. Okay. So for 2-3 years back, this feeling started coming back, and then I finally managed to start learning singing lessons.
No, but even in Calicut, you used to sing and also recite poetry.
That was a passion.
Poetry and everything,
that was a passion. I didn't even know the Saptasarangal in the proper way, and obviously I sang in TKM competition as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we won the second prize for the group competition.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's a different
You know,
story.
since you didn't learn any music, you could sing without any reservation,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
but
that's
now it is actually an issue.
Yeah.
So for the last 2.5 years, I've been learning every week. I have a lesson, a 1 hour lesson by a teacher from Thrissur.
Okay.
Online.
Okay.
And it's going very well. He said I couldn't reach the upper Shadjam when I started. Now I'm able to go up to Nishadam. So
okay.
he says that's actually the progress you have been making, which is good. Yeah.
Actually,
And the thing is actually I mean, your passion for your writing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You picked up. I think some years back you had a break, and then you took actually that as an option to refocus.
That's right.
And what resulted is fantastic outcome, you know.
Yeah.
And some of the books you have written in Malayalam and English, they're fantastic.
Actually, if you remember, in Calicut, REC also, we were able to host a number of very good writers. If you remember, Kunjini Master, Sugadokumari teacher,
absolutely,
ONV Kuruppal, and all of them came during our time, and then I had opportunities to actually bring them from the airport, not airport, the railway station, and also conduct or help conduct the programs in the auditorium and everything. So I have always kept the poetry in my passion, and I have written a few poems and everything. Actually, thinking about it, and let me take this opportunity. This is a new book which I have. It is called Nyan Adin Rasigan Egan. And I'm the only one who revels in it. Because, these poems are not going to be sold like a hot cake.
But
I enjoyed it.
It is your soul.
It is my soul.
That is actually the main thing.
So, and this is your copy. And
thank you.
Yeah, and I challenge you to sing some of these songs at your leisure moment.
You know what I will do? Honestly, I will send one of these to my teacher, ask him to put music to it, and then teach me that to sing.
Okay, yeah. In this poems, many of the poems have been published in various magazines and things like that.
So, you do actually do this with our friend Hari.
Hari is there, and he has sung a few songs. But those really are not nice here. Actually, those are actually devotional songs, and these are mainly the poetries and also light songs. And light music you can create out of it. And another passion I have is about spirituality, I told you. And this is the book in English, and it's called Hindu Temples ISO 9000. It is essays on spirituality, diversity, and Sanatana Dharma.
You know, this is something which I am very passionate about, simply because it's not that, you have, yes, your
upbringing is
in a different way, but when it comes to the life, you have so many questions in your life, and you want to actually find answers. Say, for example, why is it actually happening in this way for me today? Why is it that actually something is unexpectedly happening tomorrow? So there are so many different questions which you can actually
in my spiritual, the approach to spirituality is, it is a journey that is to be enjoyed. It's not the destination. In none of my books I have any suggestions for people to follow exactly. But what I'm saying is, never stop the inquiry. Why and what and when, all those things must be chewed in our mind, so that we can come up with some meaning for life. And that meaning doesn't mean that you stop your inquiry. You continue it. Enjoy the journey. In that one, all these, the spirituality, the diversity, all those things come. And if this is actually a coining of the word ISO 9000 and Hindu temples. People think that, why? This is actually even our Maheshwaran Namboodiripad sir. He said, that is an interesting combination of, ISO 9000 and Hindu temples. Why? My concept is, Hindu temples are all based on certain concepts. And if the concepts are taken away from those temples, there are no temples.
That's only a building.
It's only a building.
It's a building.
And it's like a business, right? In the business, we say we make cars, and then suddenly you stop that and then start building hospitals. So it's not a car company anymore. So what I'm saying is Sabarimala, Guruvayur, or whatever temples, all those temples have been formed with certain concepts. If the concepts have been removed from it, there is no more temples. And that is the basis of it.
There is a. I just want to actually say something here. Okay. We have been friends since 1982. Okay. You are a devoted Hindu. I know early in my early life, I was religious, and then it became. I was questioning many things, and then went back to my religion. And during this journey, we have absolute convergence of ideas.
But we didn't agree on everything.
No, we didn't agree on everything. We have differences in practice. We have differences in opinions. But when it comes to the actual philosophy of life on this world, we have convergence.
We have found a very good converging path in that. Right? That is beautiful thing. Actually, when you think about it, the various philosophies, various ideas come. Why? Because to improve human life experience. That's the basis of it.
I mean, to put it simply, one guy who did PhD in Queen's University said to me, Basheer, religion is like this. God understands zeros and ones. He used to computer programming, but you have to use those days, COBOL, Pascal, Fortran 4, or Fortran 77. All these are actually programming languages to convert your thinking to zeros and ones, which God can understand.
Probably that is an easy way out.
But he said actually the instruction coming back also is in zeros and ones, and then you convert that to your language. Okay, so he said the religion should be considered like that. But the spirituality is the zeros and ones. The convergence comes when you can understand that spirituality
in its essence,
rather
than in the practice.
Exactly. So this is where I enjoy reading your book, simply because you are actually saying to the people reading it, look, I am not here to actually tell you what you should do. I'm telling you to think about what is spirituality. And Sadhana, the Indian way of thinking about living.
That's right.
And when you think about it, what are we quarreling about?
I mean, that's why in Indian thought, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. Truth is only one, but the men of knowledge talk it in diverse ways. And that's why the book has the diversity also, because without diversity, there is no world, in my opinion, because that's the reason. There are seven notes in music, 7 colors, so many things are there. So the diversity is the basis of everything. So how can we close our eyes to that, right? That's why I'm saying the journey is the most important thing. Destination, if you find a destination, that's great.
But and to me, beauty is actually you were successful in bringing some of these principles in your professional life as well. When you deal with the training people, you're not actually just dealing with them as entities who should be trained to be.
They're not just resources.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Right. They're considered as the force for the next generation.
That's right.
You have a different approach. And that comes out of your spirituality. And this is why I very strongly feel that people who are professional should have a strong spirituality.
I mean, that doesn't mean that they have to belong to a religion or they have to go to church or temple or mosque every day. But there should be, the nature is there, and you cannot actually control the nature around you. The only control you can have is yourself, right? So how you respond to the nature, respond to the problem, respond to the situation, that's the only control you have. Surrounding is not in your control. In my opinion, spirituality is that understanding and saying that, that
Yeah.
is true. Because,
Coming-
I don't
coming
have
to
the
the-
full circle, right?
Yeah. Coming
Surrounding.
to the point where you are stable, you are actually at peace with yourself, and that state of mind is what spirituality will bring you to.
That's true. That's true. Actually, that's a very good end for our discussion, and I think we have bored everyone enough. And next time when you come to Vancouver, Sir Dr. Muhammed Basheer. Okay, and if it happens, that's great.
That's good wish.
For that occasion, I will be in UK with you, and I'll be there to
Thank you,
celebrate
but
that.
it's not in my hands.
No,
It's in somebody else's.
That's true. But then, that's why I said, the nature is not in your hand, but you must be, quite comfortable with yourself.
We do.
That's all.
Basically, I focus in whatever I'm expected to do. I try my level best to deliver the best. That's all what I can do.
That's all. Yeah. And we improve. And I try to improve every day from yesterday to today. I want to improve. That's all.
Learn from your own mistakes. Learn from the criticisms you hear from others. Just to try to improve yourself.
That's it.
Continuous improvement.
Continuous improvement. Again, coming back to this, that's the only way to sustain us as So those who have had the patience
just to give a hug and finish off.
Those who had the patience to listen to us this far, congratulations, because you were able to sustain your interest in two engineers in their 60s. Thank you. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah.